blocked in the past. Why does this seem unprecedented? Is there something different right now?
You know, in a morbid way, Fareed, it's because it killed so quickly. It would just burn out. I mean, you imagine these remote villages, people weren't moving around as quickly, and the Ebola virus, they would die, and before they could start to spread, which is, it's awful to think about, but that's what was happening. Now you have a more mobile group. You have more roads between some of these smaller villages, such as in Guinea, where this originated, and the capital city of Conakry. There are roads, there are at least good passageways now back and forth. And so I think that part of it is certainly contributing. There's also this idea that there's a mistrust, I think, a little bit of distrust maybe, even of healthcare professionals. In part, that's fueled by the fact that there is no good antiviral. There is no good vaccine. So when these healthcare workers show up, they're not offering some panacea to what is happening here, and so there's not a lot of trust. And a lot of the people who are getting infected aren't hearing the right messages. And you also have several epidemics sort of starting in different points almost simultaneously now, Fareed. Usually it was one place you could target.
Sanjay, how are we going to control the spread? How does one track whether people have Ebola? What happens, you know, you think about, as you say, there are roads, there are also trains, there are also planes now. People can get on flights from Liberia, from Sierra Leone. How do we handle this?
Well, you know, I think, Fareed, we are going to hear at some point, I don't know if it's during this outbreak or a future one, we are going to hear about patients with Ebola showing up in other countries in the Western Hemisphere. I think that's, I can't imagine that not happening, having seen how it all works. And keep in mind, between the time of exposure to the virus and the time someone gets sick, it could be as long as 21 days. It can travel all over the world, obviously, during that time. I think if there's any good news in this, it's when you think about countries like the United States, Britain, who are having high-level discussions on this topic, they are in a much better position to be able to control this. First of all, they could isolate the patient quite quickly, provide fluids and blood clotting factors to try and provide what is called supportive therapy, and prevent these cases, these patients with the virus becoming epidemics or the source of epidemics. So I think it's going to happen. We're going to see Ebola around the world, but I think it's not going to turn into lots of mini outbreaks.